Hey guys, welcome back to Book Club for Movies. I just wanted to go ahead and let you all know the review that I'm currently doing was written right after I left seeing Supergirl on Saturday. This review is kind of from the perspective of before the movie was declared an outright failure, an outright bomb, so I will come back with that on my final thoughts, but let's just pretend that I'm filming this the day that I actually saw the movie, so you see some more hope that this movie does fine. I went and saw Supergirl. Now, I was already planning on seeing Supergirl since I really enjoyed seeing Superman last summer, and I really wanted to see how James Gunn and DC Studios really expands on this universe, as long as Paramount allows them to do that. And I received multiple different offers for Supergirl. Now, I received a $7 off IMAX, $5 off 3D, and I received $5 ticket credit from purchasing 4 tickets. Now, since the last time I spoke to you all, I had to pay for my next month of fan club, which will deduct $10.69 from our overall value proposition. That drops us starting from $72.57 down to $61.88. Now, I was interested in seeing the movie in 3D not only because of that $5 3D discount, but because I hadn't seen a 3D movie in the theater since Dawn of the Planet of the Apes in 2014. I went to purchase tickets for the 12:15 showing, retailing at $12.31, and after I applied my $5 off 3D code, it lowered it down to $10, meaning it only took off $2.31. Now, my guess is that there's some sort of minimum ticket price for a real 3D showing, so they can't lower it past it. So we're going to add on that $2.19 to my cost tracking for the membership, meaning that remaining $10 is going to be deducted from my gift card. So, adding those 3D savings from the coupon and the convenience fee being waived back into our value proposition, this bumps the value of our membership for the year back from $61.88 to $66.38. Deducting that $10 remaining balance from our gift card means that our gift card remaining balance for the year drops from $30.28 to $20.28. Now, you may be asking me, now, why did you charge that to the gift card? Why didn't you use your $5 for ticket credit? Well, when I went to apply that $5 for ticket credit, I got a pop-up letting me know that I could not combine promotions, which made me real glad that I ended up not deciding to see the movie in IMAX, because an IMAX ticket near me costs $25.61, meaning that $7 off would have only lowered it to $18.61, and then I couldn't have lowered it any further. Now, I said earlier that I had that $5 ticket credit from purchasing 4 tickets, and that has a pretty quick turnaround. It's about 3 weeks from when you've achieved that credit that you have to redeem that credit, which meant that credit was going to expire before I could use it on whatever I wanted to see in July, which kind of gave me a Grinch smile-esque idea. What if I saw the movie in 2D and then went and saw the movie again in 3D? Would that make the movie worse? Would that make the movie better? Would I get different trailers? Is 3D even worth the upcharge? So with that, let's go ahead and update our tracking one more time, because yes, I paid to see Supergirl twice on Saturday. Now, the base ticket price costs $8.56. Adding on our $5 credit lowers us to $3.56. And let's go ahead and update our tracking. So if we add on that $5 ticket credit and the $2.19 convenience fee being waived, bumps us from $66.38 to $73.57. So we haven't even used our $10 for the month, and we're already $1 above where we started before I paid for that month. Yes, I still have my $10 credit available for the entire month of July. Now, if we take that $3.56 that's left over from the 9 a.m. showing, that's going to lower our gift card from $20.28 to $16.72. Now, since I'm seeing both of these movies and they're the same movie on the same day, I'm only going to count this as one punch towards my punch card. I hope you'll understand. Now let's talk about concessions, let's talk about the trailers, and then I'll actually dive into the thoughts of my movie. After that, I will dive back into our trailers for the 3D showing, concessions for the 3D showing, and then my thoughts on seeing the movie in 3D, followed by final thoughts on the whole deal. Okay? Now, I started my day with a large popcorn and a medium drink, totaling $16.11. Now, I almost got the extra large popcorn and the extra large drink because I know those both include a refill. But since I was going to walk around the dead mall in between movie showings, I didn't want to walk back in with the bucket or walk around the mall with the bucket or have to explain to the staff why I had this bucket from the previous showing. So we're just gonna write that off. If we add on the 1611 to our concessions tracking, starting at 176.03, that's going to bump us to 192.14. Now, spoilers, we're going to break 200 today. Let's talk about trailers. I had 8 trailers before the 2D showing of Supergirl. The first trailer I had is for Clara and the Sun, which started to make me wonder, were all of the trailers going to be aimed more towards a female audience? Because, it's a movie with a female lead. When I started out this trailer, I was like, is this some sort of companion spinoff? Because it's about buying a robot friend, and she's an older model, and the movie says that it's from Taika Waititi, and it stars Jenna Ortega and Natasha Lyonne, and I have no idea if this movie's going to be good or not. It's also got Amy Adams, and looks like there's some sort of evil plot that Clara discovers. Also, Clara thinks of the Sun as a person. I genuinely, with Taika's track record, I have no idea if this is going to be good, if it's going to be bad, or if it's just going to be an interesting mess. I don't think I'll see it in the theater, but we'll see what my ticket credit looks like when we get to that point. And I'll tell you, apparently they made another live-action Street Fighter movie, and I can tell you this looked like a fake trailer. This looked like when they make a fake trailer on Saturday Night Live or on YouTube, because it genuinely, I'm like, who wanted to see another live action Street Fighter movie? And I laughed because there's one of the scenes where we're talking about Street Fighter. The character of Chun-Li is present, and Chun-Li is known for her massive legs, and one of the characters, who's also in skimpy attire, says, "The people are obsessed with your thighs, and I don't understand it." Which, again, feels like a line from a fake trailer. I don't know. I've had to look up the budget because this thing looked expensive for what it was. But I can tell you what's really disorienting is in the trailer and in the movie, it looks like to be a plot point, they play in karaoke Three Non-Blondes' What's Going On. Which is insane to me that we had a He-Man movie out this year, and that's not in the He-Man trailer, but it's in the Street Fighter movie and the Street Fighter trailer, because anytime I hear that song, I am only thinking of He-Man. And so I cry sometimes when I'm lying. If you do not know what I'm talking about, you are either too young or you need some culture in your life. Now, after that, I got a trailer for the next DreamWorks movie called Forgotten Island, and I could have taken a guess that this was from the Puss in Boots 2 team, just based on the animation style. It seems to be about 2 young girls. They're about to go off to college. One's about to go back to the U.S. for school as opposed to staying where they are, and they enter some sort of alternate dimension where all of their memories are in this island, and the longer they're there, the more they're going to forget. So it's going to be some sort of about bonding and friendship and finding happiness and all of this thing, which looks very interesting. I will give them that. I can't wait to see how this movie does. I don't want this to be another that DreamWorks Squid, whatever that movie was, because I want DreamWorks to be successful. But after that, I got the trailer, as expected, for Clayface. And I had no idea that they were going full body horror with this. Again, I'm really interested to see how DC pans out the rest of their universe, because this is apparently a much lower budget movie. It doesn't really have any names or stars in it. I know Mike Flanagan wrote the script because he was too busy to actually direct the movie, but we're diving head first into R-rated body horror aspects. They don't show a full shot of Clayface. You see him, rubbing his face in the bathtub and his face disappears. But then in the shadows, you see that classic Clayface club arm, and I can't wait to see that on film. I think it's really interesting and brave of DC to make Batman Rogues Gallery film before we even know who Batman is in this world. Or if we're going to have somebody like Clayface show up from his dark, grim, dirty movie against something like a bright, shining Silver Age Batman. Really cannot wait to see who they cast as Batman later on. My pick currently is Alan Ritchson, the guy from Reacher. I really think he could pull off the physicality needed for the role, but we'll see who they cast. Now, after that, I got a trailer for the next Hunger Games prequel film, and I keep forgetting that this is the second prequel film because that first one came out mid-COVID, and genuinely, I forget how big the Hunger Games is. When I was in high school and the original series was coming out, yeah, it was popular, but I didn't realize it was that big and popular. There's a lot of talent in this movie. You got Jesse Plemons playing the younger Philip Seymour Hoffman. You've got Kieran Culkin playing young Stanley Tucci. Seems to be doing a really good Stanley Tucci impression. And you've got Ray Fiennes playing this movie's version of President Snow, which is kind of crazy to me that Ray Fiennes is playing a young Donald Sutherland. I'm probably not going to see it. Again, I haven't seen the previous one. I wasn't the biggest Hunger Games fan, and I'm kind of shocked that we're diving further and further into the past, into the Hunger Games. So after the Hunger Games, I got a trailer for the final season of The Bear, and it kind of disgusted me after all of these theatrical released movies to get a trailer for a Hulu streaming show, not even a broadcast streaming show, a Hulu streaming show, and then at the end it says all episodes now streaming. So it's already out. It's like, hey, why are you in the theater? You should stay home and watch television on Hulu. I don't like that. Genuinely do not like that. You can put that stuff in the pre-roll, as I did see this ad in the pre-roll in the front and center before the movie previews even started. So you can just leave that over there. Don't put ads for television in the middle of our trailer reels. Absolutely do not do that. Second to last trailer I had is for Practical Magic 2, which is kind of crazy that a movie like Practical Magic is getting a legacy sequel. I don't know if it has a young following that would revitalize a brand like Practical Magic, because I don't know if there's young people that are like, I want to see Sandra Bullock and Nicole Kidman together. Because I've only seen the trailer for the first Practical Magic. I've not seen the movie, but it seems to be, there's this family curse that whoever you fall in love with dies, and now that's been passed on to Sandra Bullock's daughter, played by Joey King. But kind of another thing that shocked me was Maisie Williams is in this movie as Nicole Kidman's daughter. And what happened to Maisie Williams' career? I mean, you were one of the leads of Game of Thrones, and I don't know what you've been doing since that show ended. I hope you get another second wind in your career, and I hope you don't endlessly just show up in movies like Practical Magic 2. You're talented. You shouldn't have to be here. Joey King deserves to be here because her career is nothing but things like this and Wish Upon. Highlight of Joey King's career is just how they used her in Bullet Train. I think it's one of the few times I've seen her, and I'm like, that's a good use of your Joey King. I'm gonna tell you, the last trailer I had before the movie started was completely insane. The movie trailer is about 4 minutes long, and 90% of it is a Tom Cruise fan cam. It opens with a scene from Top Gun, and in my head, I'm like, Top Gun already got a re-release this year. Are they putting it back in theaters again this year? And then it cuts to Live, Die, Repeat, Edge of Tomorrow. And then it cuts to Mission Impossible. And then I see Days of Thunder. And then I realize we're going through the entirety of Tom Cruise's career. Like, if this was them announcing live in theaters that Tom Cruise had died, this is what they would play. If Tom Cruise wins an Oscar, this is what they would play. They go through the entirety of his film career. When I tell you there's like half a second shot of him walking down the street and eyes wide shut, and they even include the in-universe clip from Austin Powers of Tom Cruise playing Austin Powers. It's like, if you can think of a Tom Cruise movie, it's in this trailer. And then at the end of the trailer, it says, and now
it's come to this.
And you see his character in silhouette walking slowly out. And it says, The Digger. And then you see him do a comedy beat and kind of, do a little galloping in the scene.
When all else fails, you hit him with the truth. The hard truth. Just bang, bang, bang. Woo!
And that's all you get. This is a $125 million art house comedy. And this is how they're marketing it. And I really don't know what they're doing. I don't know if this is one of those producers situations where it's like, if the movie loses X amount of money, we get it back. Because this is not how you market this movie to mainstream audiences. If you show me the entirety of Tom Cruise's career, including Collateral, and you expect me to be like, oh, I love Tom Cruise, and then you show up and he's, in deep makeup doing a weird voice, I don't know how you... I'm really interested to see the cinema score of this movie. I'll say that. I cut out cinema score from my previous video, but cinema score is literally, what did the audiences who wanted to see the movie to the point where they saw it opening day in a major city, what did they think of this movie? And that's how you get that score from A to F. And I really don't know what normal people are going to think walking into this movie. Especially because it's directed by Iñárritu. I have no idea what this movie's going to be. If he can pull off a $125 million comedy in theaters, I'm really going to be surprised. Not saying Tom Cruise can't pull it off. I'm just saying I don't know how many people are going to see Tom Cruise in this movie. Now for my thoughts on Supergirl. I saw it at 9 a.m., and it was good, not great. It's a step down. Anything would have been for a spinoff, but I really don't want to write this movie off as being a waste of your time. There are things I thought were good, like Millie Alcock's performance was very good. I like seeing the growth in her character from the cameo at the end of Superman to the end of this movie. Her realizing her place in this universe. Her realizing how she needs to carry on for the sake of her family as she's the last of her bloodline. Her learning from her cousin how to be good and why to be good. And also why she has such a close connection to Krypto, because Krypto is her last remaining physical connection to when she grew up on the outskirts of the exploding Krypton. I really liked a lot of this movie. Even though I'll tell you that opening kind of feels like they reheated leftovers from a Guardians of the Galaxy movie. And since that was, since it was good food, the leftovers aren't that bad, but you can definitely feel the decrease in quality in the reheating process. But Supergirl works for the most part. They give us moments with her and Superman, which of course I was so happy to see him because every time he shows up, you're like, David Cornsweet is a perfect Superman. When he shows up every single time in this movie, he's in this movie maybe for 2 minutes solid. He's nailed it, and they've really nailed the casting, and they've really nailed his performance down. He is, I think, the best version of Superman that we've had, even counting Christopher Reeve. Now, really quick, the real star of this movie is David Krumholtz. He's in the movie for one extended flashback, and he is the best performance in this movie. He is speaking Kryptonian the entire time, but he deserves a Saturn nomination or something for how great of a performance performance he puts in his limited time in a movie like Supergirl. Now, another person that's almost as good as David Krumholtz is Jason Momoa as Lobo. It is a cameo. He shouldn't be in the poster. He shouldn't really be in the marketing because he's such a minor character. But he's much better at Lobo than he ever was at being Aquaman. He nails most of the performance, but there's one line that they apparently put in the trailer, since I looked at trailers for editing of this, where he's like, "Are you the ditz that I met at the bar?" And she's like, "Aren't you?" And he says, "Touche." The best way I can describe this is either musical acting or like an epic rap battle of history comeback, because it's like almost timed, or he's like, "Touche." Like it's not him actually saying touche. It's him like bouncing to a beat that's not there.
You the ditz from that dive bar?
That's what I've been calling you.
Touche.
I was almost wondering if they were going to go full meta and he was just going to start yelling out Aquaman lines like "my man" or whatever else he said during Joss Whedon's Justice League.
Ride ain't over yet.
My man.
But thankfully they didn't do that. This movie didn't go full Deadpool. Never go full Deadpool. Deadpool shouldn't even have gone full Deadpool. But it's definitely better than a lot of the comic book movies that have come out in the last 10 years. It's better than it's better than anything I saw from the DC Extended Universe. Now, I saw this at my dead mall, which was great because after the movie, I was able to walk out, find a quiet spot, and dictate these notes in between. But after I wrote up my thoughts, it was now 11:45, which meant it was time to go back to the theater. And when I popped into the theater, there was a lot more people in there since we were closer to noon on a Saturday, and everybody else was there to see Toy Story. So I'm in the concessions line, I'm probably 8 people back, and I look at the menu board because I'm trying to figure out what I want to get, and occasionally I keep seeing a splash screen pop up about the Minions, saying, "Try our mini corn dogs." And I'm thinking, do I want corn dogs? I could get corn dogs. I also grabbed a bag of peanut M&Ms. Even though I ended up not eating them, I was planning on eating them, so I'm going to count them during the concessions, and I ordered a Coke Zero, medium Coke Zero. And when I got up to the register and ordered that, I said, "Do you guys have mini corn dogs?" And she looked at me, she looked at the point of sale machine, she looked at me again, she said, "Yeah, I guess we can do that." Which of course made me not want to order that anymore, since it looked like I was going to ruin this woman's life. But she rang me up, and I did get the mini corn dogs. And I'll tell you, it probably took about 8 minutes, because she said, "Go stand over there for your mini corn dogs." It took me about 8 minutes to get my corn dogs, after which I apologized for ordering them, and she said, "No, it's fine." Now, the Coke, the M&Ms, and the corn dogs came to $22.15, which now bounces our concessions to $214.29. It's going to be a long year, folks. It's going to be a long year. For her to make these corn dogs, she actually had to leave the front, go to like a fridge room in the back, grab them, and they had a little Subway super oven that they heated them up in like 45 seconds. I'll tell you, they were delicious, and they even came in a little Minions themed container. Now let's talk about trailers. Now, I have a 3D television at home. I love my 3D TV. It's not my primary television. It's a secondary TV I have in a side room, but there is nothing better than the 3D experience at home. And most times I put in a 3D Blu-ray, they come with trailers that are in 3D. And I was expecting that from a 3D showing. We didn't have any 3D trailers. In fact, I got an entirely different batch and order of trailers. I thought maybe again we'd get something more female audience oriented, since the first trailer of the 3D showing was Sense and Sensibility, which I didn't even know they were making. It's very much in that same vein of Pride and Prejudice. After that, I got a trailer for Wild Horse 9 again, and it was shorter because this is the first time I've seen the green band version, not the R-rated version, and apparently all of the best bits are in that R-rated version. Then I had repeat trailers for Clara and the Sun, Forgotten Island, and the Hunger Games prequel. And then I got a trailer for Fall 2. I didn't even know they were making a Fall 2. So I decided to look it up afterwards, and apparently it's being directed by the Spierig brothers, which is crazy because I finally saw Daybreakers about 2 weeks back, and I was surprised with how almost great Daybreakers is. And the fact that I look up what they've made afterwards, and they've made Jigsaw and Winchester and now Fall 2. Maybe once I get to Predestination will be good. But I'm hoping for them that they've got another good movie around the corner. Now, right after Fall 2, I got a short blurb, maybe 15 seconds, and it said, "Put your 3D glasses on now." And it said Moana 3D. And I was thinking maybe this meant that we were going to get the Moana remake trailer in 3D. We didn't get Moana. The only thing we got was that, because following Put Your 3D Glasses On Now was another trailer for The Bear, that same final season of The Bear trailer that we had. After seeing The Bear not in 3D, we got a repeat trailer for Practical Magic 2, and we end again with that Tom Cruise trailer for Digger. No 3D trailers. But interesting enough, no trailer for Clayface, the next movie in their universe coming out in October. Maybe they thought they'd be getting a younger audience that'd probably be more horrified by the Clayface in the 3D showings. Now here's my thoughts on Supergirl in 3D. If you've never seen a real D movie before, the slighted term is shadowboxing because it really puts an extra layer of dimension into the movie, and it kind of just looks like you're watching the entire movie in one of those dioramas that you made in elementary school. But I love that. I love that perspective, because if you watch a movie in 3D, anytime there's an interstitial, a title, or even subtitles, they exist in an entirely different dimension from the rest of the movie. And that really swung this for me. I might have to see more movies in 3D if there's more stuff that's in my wheelhouse, less minions and monsters, maybe more House at the End of the Street if that's showing in 3D. Because when it opens with all of those titles in that opening sequence, they look incredible. When all the, credits are flying around the ship with her and that sort of thing. Anytime you see her use her laser vision, or there's a scene where she gets confronted by a whole bunch of people with laser sights at a bar, all of the lasers look incredible. Now, when Lobo shows up and Lobo's swinging his chain around, the chain's in 3D and that looks fine. The detriment to the 3D experience is I had no idea how much lens flare is in this movie, because the lens flare puts it in a 3D timed effect, which is really distracting and it really detracts from the movie. But there's one part of this movie that really shows the 3D, and it must have been in mind. There's a scene where everything's kind of fallen and Supergirl flies up into space and screams. But of course, it's a silent scream since there's no sound in space. And she sheds a single tear. And when I saw that in the 2D showing, I said that probably looks incredible in 3D. And then when it shows up in the 3D showing and that tear leaves the screen and heads towards your face, it's beautiful. It's genuinely the highlight of the 3D experience. Now, seeing this movie for the second time, so close to seeing the movie for the first time, a couple things really stuck out to me. Mainly in Argo, the floating Krypton offshoot city from when Krypton explodes. We see Supergirl's parents running towards where they're, the bomb shelter, essentially. And we see Superman's baby escape pod fly off. And he said, "Look, that's Kal-El's escape pod." And Supergirl's mom says, "Yes, the one your brother described to be the destroyer of worlds or conqueror of worlds." Which is genuinely a great little blip, because it shows that they disagreed as a family, that they didn't want Superman to be the conqueror of worlds. But, at the end he sent Supergirl to Superman on Earth, not knowing that he ended up not being the conqueror of worlds. I liked that little beat. I really liked that little beat. I really liked seeing that slug in the opening scene where she's getting drunk at the bar. I really liked I really liked that little bit where they're at the rest stop, and there's that little monster, there's that little alien that's crapping out popcorn, and she says this popcorn tastes like crap. Uh, I liked seeing the slug again in the teleportation fight. Teleportation fight is one of the better sequences. Unfortunately, it's near the beginning of the movie. But I'll say, and I meant to talk about this during the 2D section, I will always be amazed with how well Crypto is animated. If you have a pet, Crypto will remind you how much you love seeing your pet run around, because Crypto is amazing. Some other thoughts about Supergirl is I really kind of appreciate where they went with it. It's not like they could introduce Superman to a new audience and then also introduce a lot of the wider comic book aspect. You know, things like how the different colored suns affect him. I understand why they added that into Supergirl. They're basically using Supergirl as the Thor to the DCU, where they're like, here's dipping your toe into the wider concepts early on before we go really far out there, you know, before we even think about touching on things like Dark Side and stuff like that, you know, acclimating people to things. Now, right after the movie starts and we get the new DC logo with Superman, it hard cuts to this awful logo for Domain Entertainment. And I'm like, who is Domain Entertainment? That's not James Gunn production company. That's not Safran's production company. Look it up. Turns out it's this private equity firm that's financed most of the major films that have been released in the last 2 years. And I'm like, if you're going to make your logo be that prominent, you got to have a better logo. Now let's talk about what's happened since Supergirl has come out. The movie has officially been declared a flop. The movie is close to box office bomb territory. It's better than a lot of its contemporaries on that list. You know, it's better than Green Lantern. It's better than R.I.P.D. It's better than Morbius. Because after I watched Supergirl, I'm like, what are the, you know, is this what a bad movie is? Have I lost that much, you know, touch with bad movies? If everyone's saying this movie is absolutely terrible. So I decided to put in some notoriously awful films. So I watched with my wife, we watched R.I.P.D. and Morbius. And, you know, upon recollecting, no, Supergirl is not terrible. Supergirl is not bad. Supergirl is more than passable. If you need a score out of me, I'm being generous here. I'm giving it a 3.5 out of 5. I liked it more than I disliked it. There are elements of it that I really, really did enjoy. If a 3.25 existed, that's what I would give it. But I will recommend this movie, and I'm really kind of shocked that with all the money they spent on marketing, that more people didn't come out this weekend. Because as I said previously, you know, they had $100 million brand integration with things like KFC and Ulta and all of these other companies. It's the largest marketing campaign product tie-in in Warner Brothers history. And it was unsuccessful, which again, it's like, how do you even market a movie these days if the advertisements don't get the bare minimum people in the door? I really do like that Millie Alcock is going to be in Man of Tomorrow, because I would have hated for this to be her last appearance, and then they say, you know, oh, you might see Supergirl again if the movie does well. And then the movie doesn't do well. They're like, oh, you're never going to see Millie Alcock again. Because especially with that ending where we end things, I really want to see how her character has grown over the course of this movie and how that's changed her relationship with Clark. And I'm really kind of worried personally that with the impending Paramount takeover of Warner Brothers, that the Ellisons are going to get cold feet and clean house again with the DC brand. And I really hope they don't do that, because the last thing normal people need is any more confusion of who's Superman, what's happening, you know, what do I have to see before I get here. I really hope Man of Tomorrow does well, just because, not only because there are some characters that are close to their adaptations coming out that I really want to see. Like if Booster Gold gets canceled, I'm going to be so disappointed, because I've been waiting for years to see Booster Gold in any form, and we're getting close. It was supposed to be a movie. Now it's going to be a streaming show. And I'm like, that's fine. If you do it properly, I don't care what medium Booster comes in. I'm just hoping Booster gets to show up to something. Superman didn't do gangbusters, and Supergirl is going to be a bomb. So I understand if the new powers that be decide that they're just going to wipe the slate clean, or put new heads in charge. And I really want to see where we go from here. I'm really hoping Clayface does well. If Supergirl underperforms but Clayface overperforms, I really hope they can kind of go into that aspect of focusing more on some smaller movies based in that same world, so we can have kind of little smaller pocket stories about individual characters without them having to be, globe-trotting, highest budget tentpole films, as tentpoles continue to fail. One last thing on 3D. You get a pair of 3D glasses, and we're nowhere near the heyday of Real D 3D, because these glasses are not branded in any way. But the fun thing is if you have a 3D TV, these work the exact same way. Because if you see a standard, regular, non-IMAX 3D showing, it's not the red-blue 3D. It's polarized lenses. But the thing I really like is it does not need to be here. But they have this amazing mission statement on the back of the Real D glasses bag. It's almost like it's almost like my thoughts of my previous episode. I want you to think of as my version of Jay Sherman's.
Tell them you want stories about people, not $100 million of stunts and explosives. People, it's up to you. If the movie stinks, just don't go.
From the critic. I want you to give movies a chance. Is kind of what I want you to do. I want you to give movies a chance. But this Real D flavor text on the back is just incredible. So I'm going to end today's episode by reading it off here. And this is a reminder that I'm going to try to see more movies in 3D in the future. It says, "It's time to put on your 3D glasses. Claim your cup holder, crack open the candy, and put your phone on silent. It's time to disconnect from this world and discover another. It's Real 3D." Eventually, I'll make an opening to this channel that'll be my version of the Nicole Kidman AMC opening, and I might have to lift part of this directly from that flavor text, because that's so well written and so well perfect on why I've really enjoyed going to the movies this year. As movie theaters are dying, I've kind of fallen back in love with movie theaters and seeing new movies in the theater. And as we continue our journey with Fandango, I hope you stay with me. And if you're new, I hope you come along for the ride. But anyway, that's it for Book Club this week. It's probably going to be a little while until you hear from me again, getting 2 videos out in a week. And there's nothing on the close horizon that I want to see. Watch more movies, people. Have a great week. I'll catch you next time here on Book Club for Movies.